Yes, big up to you all. Hope you're all well. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you enjoyed this morning's show. Hope you are all doing well. Myself and Lee are back. And before we bring on Tom Canton, Tom, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, not bad, guys. Not bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I mean, pretty tired from yesterday. I had a bit of a long day, it felt, yesterday, to be honest. And it was just a lot of emotion. It's kind of continued today, to be honest. We have spoken about it and got over my sort of rant and rave and bits, and I'm all right, to be honest. We are going to get into Arsenal. We are going to get into the weekend's games. But first of all, the breaking news that David COOTE's been suspended. PGML getting a lot of abuse. He's definitely getting a lot of stick. I don't want to go too much into the politics of the what, where, and which, but what's our raw reaction from this? It only literally has just come out. I mean, I saw the video quite early this morning, but I didn't know if it was false or true or what it was really. But it looks now as if that it is being looked into. Tom, start with you, mate. Lee's literally only just said it because he's been busy today. So, what's your thoughts on this one, Tom? Like, what do you think of it? What do you think should happen, if anything? Like, where do you stand?
I mean, it's stunning, isn't it? Like, I was speechless when I saw it. My instinct was, AI is doing its thing again, because I was like, there's no way this is real. Like, a few of my mates sent it to me in a group chat, and I was like, they were like, because they know I work in media, they were like, is this real? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, but I mean, from the reaction, of course, of the PGMOL, but to suspend him at the moment, I mean, because until they do their investigation and all that. But let's say hypothetically it is real, which it looks pretty darn real. His position must be untenable, surely. Like he will be, if it's real, sacked and dismissed and won't referee a game again. You can't speak about like people in that way, in that position. I mean, you can't speak about that. You shouldn't speak about anyone in that way, regardless. But like, to do it in his position of responsibility is mad. It's difficult to know the context of when and where and how that video's come about or why it's happening. But regardless of that, he's speaking under his own steam, and it's an incredible piece of media to witness.
Yeah, you can say that again, to be fair. Judges, I don't really understand what he's thinking, man. He's being filmed. He knows he's on camera. He knows at any point that could get out one day, whether it be in 10 weeks' time, 10 years' time, or 10 days' time. And he's done it. Now, I imagine they've probably had a few sherbets from by the looks of it, if you do watch the video. But that is just absolutely crazy, if I'm honest with you. I mean, like, look, if that was... I can understand why Liverpool fans are absolutely livid right now, because if that was him calling Arteta all the names under the sun and mentioning Arsenal, I think there's a lot of people that would be very, very peeved right now, the Arsenal fans. So I can understand why Liverpool fans might be disappointed, but I can understand why football fans might be as well, man, because look, he's clearly lost his head. He's clearly ranted on a video, never thinking anyone would see it. So I kind of understand that stuff like that should be kept in-house. But once you do that, man, you run the risk of someone then finding out. And look, maybe he'll go referee in Saudi Arabia or somewhere like that again, but I don't think he'd be refereeing in England again, that's for sure, after what he's been saying. What do you make of it, Judge?
Well, it just tells you everything you need to know about referees. And I'll tell you why, is because they're human. And if you upset them, they take it personally. Like, obviously, Klopp said something to him and he's taking it personally, And when you think now of all the things that are happening to Mikel Arteta, and Arsenal over the last sort of year, since the Newcastle incident, where I think that he went in on them and got away with it. It's natural human instincts, and it's just going like, I'm not happy with that, and we'll do this and do that, And you just think that referees are above all this, above, I wouldn't say corruption, but biasness, I think is the word now. And that video proves that there is biasness in referees because of what he said, what Klopp has done to him. So he's never ever going to be fair towards Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp because of that, subconsciously or not. It's in there, isn't it? And I think that's what proves it. And I reckon when people like us fans go, there's a conspiracy against Arsenal, not a conspiracy. There's a biasness because that video proves it. I think that Mikel called out he really did. I thought he was a bit out of order, if I'll be honest, going back to that Newcastle game. He really did call them out and got away with it. And those referees are not going to be happy with that. And it's a bigger picture, isn't it? Like, it's not just Liverpool, it's all referees, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, when you look at, by the way, I thought Oliver done okay yesterday, but he's done some howlers for us over the last few months. And there he was on a trip to Abu Dhabi or wherever he'd been. There's got to be something in there. It's in there, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Because there's the proof. Corruption's going a little bit too far, but I definitely think, like, biasness, favouritism is all.
Do you think that is still classed as corrupt, though? Are they two different things? Oh, Tom, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry, fellas. Corruption's like an incredibly serious kind of accusation.
I agree.
Because typically corruption, when you're talking about that word, it comes a lot into kind of, it goes beyond biases. You're talking about alleged bribes and things like this. So I would very much stop short of using that word in this context. I think that I think there are unconscious biases that you see, and Lee talked about, the human nature of referees and, making mistakes. But, we're all human. Everyone makes mistakes, but there has to be consequences for your actions. And, when it comes to that video, you can't be saying the things that he said. I mean, I think there's a little bit of clearing up, because there's part of the video where before he uses the "see you next Tuesday," I don't know whether he says the word German before that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
it's kind of a bit muffled, and I don't want to, say he has without it being fully cleared up. But if that is the case, that changes the context of that particular phrase to even more serious terms. So yeah, I think that's also something that needs to be looked into.
Do we think, guys? Right, real talk. That I know this is mad because it's been happening for years. But, like, English referees love football. Well, most of them do. You'd like to think they do, right? Because that's why they're doing their job. They all support. They all grew up. They're all passionate, like us three are, right? For their team that they support. Is there something that's going to have to come in, maybe not soon, maybe in the next few years, that you can't referee in the own league that you support a team in? Because I think there's going to be many people pointing their fingers now going, you support Newcastle, Mr. Oliver, and you are now no longer allowed to referee Arsenal Newcastle like last year when the VAR stuff happened. Gillett, you're a Liverpool fan. You can't sit and do a Liverpool game. I just don't know how you police this otherwise. So if I said to you now, for example, this weekend we're going to be refereed by Mr. So-and-so, you're going to go, who's he support? Inter Milan. You're going to go, oh, cool. If I said to you, it's so-and-so, and you go, who's he support? Liverpool or Man City, you're going to be like, oh, brilliant. So I just wonder if some of these European referees need to come over to England now and actually start refereeing. And this is asides from what's happened today. This is just a general conversation that has been spoken about before on other shows that I've done. And I just wonder what your thoughts are on that, because I've always been of the fact of, like, everybody supports the team and everyone has an absolute right to support the team. But if they do support a team in the league, is there going to be that? Like, if I was a referee, I'd be like, oh, I really don't want to give that penalty on Havertz there, but he's clearly pulled him. I'm going to have to, but I really don't want to, because we're going to bloody lose the league here. But I'm going to have to. But still, that goes through your mind. That must go through their mind, no? Surely that goes through their minds.
Right. I don't know how Tom feels about it, but I'm now believe that this should happen, because there is subconsciously a thing like that, Now, like, say if I was a referee and I'm refereeing, I don't know, Wolves versus Tottenham, right?
I knew you were going to bring up Spurs. I knew you would bring up Arsenal.
But there's got to be something in that, and now I'm not saying that I would. But what I'm saying is, if it was, like, say, for instance, a definite penalty, you've got to give it. But if it's like a 50-50, I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm not going to give it, like, you know what I mean? And a lot of these refs come from up north, and I think someone just said it in the chat. You seriously, if you're coming up from north, you support Notts County, Tranmere, or Huddersfield? Do you? Do you? Like, I come from London, but there I do. I support Charlton. You know what I mean? No.
Tom's got a Charlton fan in the family.
Oh, not the addicts.
No, I'm just saying, but like, it's like, you could be a West Ham fan, couldn't you, right? And put on your refereeing thing. Who do you support? Oh, I support Orient. You don't really, but we'll put it on there. So I do think that maybe it is because there has been some real shocking performances lately in there in the referee. Really, look, VAR's in because of shocking refereeing. Let's be honest, So I think it may have something to do with it. I don't know, but it would just take it all out of it, So, I think that maybe it's a great shout to just say, look, we'll have all the Italian referees, the English referees, go and referee Italian games and all that. You don't have to live in Italy. You just go over there for the 2 days when it's going on and whatever. I don't know, but I think we've got
to start looking at European refs now, Tom. That's my opinion.
It's incredibly difficult because obviously if you've got a whole 10 games every weekend, you're expecting foreign referees to travel over for a weekend every weekend. Midweek cup games, night games, and then they got Champions League matches in midweek. And by the way, it should be pointed out that if you speak to our contemporaries in other nations, they moan about their refs too. They moan about their referees. Not like the French and Italian and Spanish, leagues have got perfect refereeing records. We've been refereed very well, I think, in Europe this season. We've had Clement Turpin, I think, who had a really, really good game. I think that was the PSG match. And then it was Bastian something in the Shakhtar game I also thought was very good. Even the Inter game, it flowed. It wasn't, the referee's name was never brought up. There wasn't really any contentious decisions in that game either. But I think personally the better way forwards is for the VAR to become detached from the PGMOL and have a third party do that, because we heard those quotes from Mike Dean when he was like, I didn't want to send my mate over to the monitor in that moment. It's like, nah, we can't have the attachment or the association or a social level between the people doing the refereeing on field and those that are doing it off the field. I feel like it needs to be a separate entity which has its say on that. VAR is the reason why, not the reason why refs were bad. VAR is there because the refs haven't been good enough. But then the people that we've said aren't good enough are the people doing the VAR. So it kind of counts it out. So yeah, difficult one.
I mean, I've got to be real. I know there's a lot of people that don't like referees. And it seems the Chelsea fans all hate Anthony Taylor. The Liverpool fans hate COOTE. Arsenal fans hate Oliver. And then whenever you say, oh, so-and-so's better, they just go, oh, they're all rubbish. And I think that is the thing. There's not really any referees that stand out. Look, I'm just going to correct something. Geordie Team for Life obviously said, Dan, Michael Oliver was not on VAR. It was Andy Madley. Come on, you're better than that. No, Michael Oliver was the referee last year in that game. That was what I was meaning. And he's a Newcastle fan for the Arsenal. I'm sure that was last season. I'm sure it was Michael Oliver. Michael Oliver's a Newcastle fan, yeah. Anyway, so big up for that. No, listen, I was going to say, I couldn't name 5 referees in the 35 years I've started watching football that I rate. I can name you 5 footballers. I can name you 50. But I couldn't name you 5 referees that I think are top. I mean, in the Premier League, I can think of maybe Jeff Winter, maybe Halsey. Then I'm struggling after that. A lot of people like Jariah Rennie, but I didn't quite like him against Arsenal. That's for sure. I don't know. There's not many that I like, and across the whole of Europe, I'd add Kalina into that, and that'd probably be about it after that.
Well, you're not meant to like referees, though, Dan. They're meant to be invisible. They're meant to be nobodies. They're not meant to even have I'm not trying to dehumanize them, but they aren't meant to be notable. They shouldn't be going on podcasts. They shouldn't be doing interviews unless it's brought in after a game, which I would be more of a open to hearing them, questioned after a game about a decision. But there's just too much of this making referees famous these days. I don't think Sky and BT should have referees as analysts on their platforms, personally.
That's embarrassing, by the way. Yeah, Peter Walton, now it's Mike Dean. You've got
I don't watch Sky now because of Mike Dean.
Dermot Gallagher as well. Ref watch Dermot Gallagher. What a joke that is.
I don't even really watch that, but I do not watch Soccer Saturday no more because Mike Dean's on it, like, you know. It's just ridiculous. I can't stand the bloke. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's cost us so many points over the years. I just what you know. Honestly, I just can't have that. Like, you know, I just can't have him on there, so I don't watch it. But you know, that's how it is. I've got to say this though, boys. As much as it pains me to say it, I thought Michael Oliver done a good job yesterday.
Well, I didn't really have any complaints from referee.
I thought he done okay. Pains me to say it because I think, like, you know, he is a shit house, isn't he? Really, but awful ref. But I thought he reffed that quite well yesterday.
Well, look, let's get into the game because I think there's enough on referees. Look, I didn't think it was an amazing performance. I know judges. I've spoken to you about the game, and you thought it was an okay performance. I didn't think it was a great performance personally either. I must say, I think our attack is looking pretty blunt at the moment. There's question marks about how we get this going, but I feel like there's a lack of fluidity still. Thought Odegaard was good in the second half in particular. Saka was locked up most of the game by Cucurella. I thought was one of their better players. Martinelli, I just don't see him beating his man at the moment. I don't know what he was doing for the goal, by the way, that he conceded. He's just watching the man. So that wasn't great. I didn't think Havertz was quality like some people thought. I thought he was all right. I thought he put himself about. I thought he bullied him a bit. But I just need to see this guy doing and offering more that's killer instinct. And I just don't see enough of that. And it's fine getting your body in front of people and going and bullying people. That's cool. And working hard and tirelessly running back. That's kind of like the bare minimum that I want from every player. But I just kind of feel a little bit sorry for Kai at the moment. I feel like if he don't do it, then we ain't doing much else. Where's the other option? We ain't got one. Jesus was a disgrace when he came on. I thought he was awful. Sterling couldn't come on, obviously. We've got Marino coming on now, and I don't know what he or Jesus have done to be getting ahead of Wanyeri, if I'm honest. But didn't see him, and I felt like we could have got him on to give us a bit of a lift. So I'm just worried about our attack, really, boys. Is me waffling on. Really, that's what I'm worried about. Is in front of goal. We don't look great, to be fair. So what do you make of it, judges? Talk to me.
Do you know what? I've analysed what you said and what other people have said, and I didn't think Kai had one of his better games. But I've looked back at it now, like, you know, if it, you know, like, when I'm going to say it now, if they start drawing lines on offside now, can we please just say it's a goal, whether it's for us or not? Like, you know, I just find it. That's not what offside was for, like, you know. But if that goes in, it's a good finish. You go 1-0 up, he scored a goal, and then he's led the line pretty well. And you turn around and go, good performance from him, like, you know. So it's fine lines from that point of view. I do think that the lacking of another striker is evident at the moment. You can see that, like, if Kai's not doing it, you can bring somebody else on, or even go with two up top. We haven't really got that option. As you said, Jesus is just completely off form at the moment. I can't believe that our Harry has dipped so much, and it was a big worry when he had that knee injury, but I never thought he'd dip as much as he has. And yeah, it's a lot of mixed reactions and everything about there. There's a lot of Arsenal fans out there, and you know, I'm not having a go at them when I say this. They expect us to go over to Inter Milan and outplay them and come away with a 2-3-0 win. You know, then go to Chelsea and win 3 or 4 and have an unbelievable performance. And it don't quite really work like that for me. I think they're always there were 2 difficult games to play, particularly like after the travelling in Italy and all that, and then coming back and playing. And I didn't think that we was that bad yesterday. The problem is, like last season, well, I thought we was awful there and got a 2-2 draw. Everybody's coming out of the ground going, oh, like, at least we've got away with a draw. I do think because of the context of this must-win game, we're a little bit disappointed because we didn't win the game. And listen, I hold my hands up to that. I said before the game, if we don't win this game, we're out of the title race. So I've got to, you know, stick with that at this moment in time because I said it the week before, and now
The thing is, Judge, I understand what you're saying. Like last season, we did the same, and we didn't play that well over there. But the difference was we were like sort of
different position. I get that. Exactly. I get that, and that's why I understand there's a little bit more doom and gloom in it, and myself as well. Chelsea. I look at the table and they're third. So if you look at it, if you're going to the third best team in the Premier League, it's very there's no guarantee you're going to go and win that game. You've got particularly away from home. And I don't think that we should be expecting to go to these grounds and expecting to roll over a team like Chelsea at this moment in time, who have got some very, very good players in their team, in their team that we'd have. I think it's a little bit different for me. That the performance for me, I didn't walk away there feeling ashamed to be an Arsenal fan or ashamed of my team or whatever. I was at Newcastle. That was not acceptable. That was just not an acceptable performance. And I think that, the way that they played and the way that the manager picked and everything, that was not acceptable. And for me to say that, I think I'm fair, fair and reasonable. And as a supporter, you've got the right, and I'll get the right if people are not happy at this moment in time with the way things are going and that performance. But I think it could be, I don't know, the optimistic in me is saying that, that could be a point gained at the end of the season. I don't know, so, but I didn't think we'd done enough to win the games. I'll ask a question, if we had to win that game, we had to get 3 points to win the title. Does he bring on Wanyeri or does he bring on Marino? I think he bring on Wanyeri, but we're not at that stage yet. We're still 80 points. Is that 81 points to play for or something? Someone told me today. So a lot of points to say, right, let's go gun-ho against Chelsea away. I still say if we don't win the league this season, it won't because we drew at Chelsea away. I don't. It will be the Bournemouth and the Newcastle game. Newcastle are no mugs neither, but that sort of performance, is not acceptable for Arsenal.
I mean, I'll come to you, Tom, because it's not really so much how many points we are away from and the draw that we had. I just think it's the performances at the moment for me. I'm just not convinced. I think we've regressed. I'm not really sure what we need to change up. But this is the same team that was 8 points clear 2 seasons ago and that missed out on the title by 2 points. And it don't look like it at the moment.
Yeah, I was disappointed with our application in the game. I thought we'd be a little bit more energised. I thought there'd be a bit more. Look at the way we defend the Neto goal. Cool. Martinelli's just standing. Martinelli has to track his man, has to be aware of the people around him. Havertz, I'm not looking at as much, but again, if you notice is that Martinelli's not there, he barely moves. And then Timber actually recognises the danger because Martinelli's not gone. So he then darts into the middle, but it's too late. I want to see press. I want to see that energy. Now, I don't know if there's things going on that we don't know, because I feel like yes, there's obviously issues, like Declan Rice playing with a alleged broken toe, Saka's coming off injured partway through the game, players like Ben White apparently aren't 100%, and if that's having an impact on things, then maybe. But I'm still reeling from that Newcastle performance, as Lee said, because that was just such a disgraceful application of there was no application in that game whatsoever. There was a response against Inter. I thought we obviously, and Chelsea are a very comfortable 8-0 game against, I think it was an Armenian side in the Conference League in midweek, and then we have to come back from Italy and have one training session and then play. 1 or 2 training sessions and then play. People will say, "Oh, it's excuses again." But these are the realities that we had to deal with. And Chelsea are no mugs this season. They've been impressive. They're sitting third in the table right now. We're also still unbeaten against Big Six sides in the last 2 years. Despite our struggles this season, we still haven't been beaten by any of those. Our defeats have come against, teams that we should be beating. Newcastle and Bournemouth alongside that. So I want to see, more from this. I want to see more from this Arsenal team. I want to see us getting, back into those positions that we're used to. And that chance we created at the end when we nearly scored, that was a beautiful piece of football. by Arsenal, and it was a piece of play that I've not seen us do in a frustratingly long period of time. In a really high pressure part of the game, it was calm, it was accurate, it was astute, it was purposeful, it was progressive and direct. The pass from Trossard into Odegaard before Odegaard laying in Saliba, who I don't know why he's there. I don't care. I'm glad he was there. And then, of course, the finish is lacking, and it's very frustrating. And if that goal goes in, it's a whole different kettle of fish. We're talking about the context of Arsenal in the season where, 2 points better off. You comfortably, I say comfortably, you can see, I think it's 4 teams on 19 points and 3 teams on 18 points, something silly like that. It's so tight in this period of the season at the moment. But that particular build-up in the end of the game gave me that kind of, that optimism that we can produce those types. We just need to see it on a regular basis again. And Odegaard being back is obviously a huge, huge part of that. Our goal comes from him. Our best chance, the game outside of the goal we scored, is created by his ball into Saliba. Like, it's so obvious how much we've missed him. So him coming back and this run of games we've got coming up, hopefully that merges together to get us into a much better position.
Well, look, we're going to need it now, Lee. We're going to need a response. International breaks come at a time that perhaps we need just to have a little bit of a break from some of the emotion. Not that I ever want an international break, but we've got 4 players that are doubts. Obviously, Saka and Rice both coming off. Tomiyasu and Calafiori, but we hope to think that the majority of those 4 will be back after the international break. I hope. It doesn't look like any of them are out for months anyway. Haven't heard anything on Saka and Rice yet, but I doubt they'll travel to England now if Rice has got this toe problem and Saka's got this.
Whisper today, Saka must go.
Oh, Saka, is he okay?
I don't know. I was at Talksport earlier. Someone was saying that they'd heard that Saka might be going, but I don't know how real that is.
And he'll play 90 minutes as well because they love playing Matt Saka.
Yeah.
Anyway, Saka's travelling. Someone's just put, well, there we go then. So at least he's fit anyway. That's the main thing. But my point is that we've got no excuses now, Lee, because we've got pretty much a fully fit squad unless anyone else comes back, touch wood, from the international break injured. We've got some fit. I hate saying this. We've got some winnable fixtures. I will say that. Doesn't mean they're easy, but they're winnable. We've got Forest at home when we come back. Then, of course, we go away in Europe, but we've got actually a run where we don't leave London until the 25th of January. West Ham away, home to Man United, away to Fulham. We go home to Everton, home to Palace twice because we've got them in the Cup as well, away to Palace, home at Ipswich around Christmas time. In London again, Brentford away, and then it's not until we go to Brighton away, which to be fair isn't that far anyway, on the 4th of January that we come out of London. So they're winnable fixtures there, Lee, but without looking at the kind of just the fixtures to think, I fancy us in a few of those games. It's the way we're playing, bro. Like, what do we need to change at the moment? Because Arteta can clearly do this. This is the same group of players that were blitzing teams not long ago. But at the moment, he just seems to be overthinking it, in my opinion, and just a little bit too overly cautious at times. And in the way, we're conceding more by being overcautious than we were before. I don't know why we don't just go for it now.
Yeah, listen, I think that's a great point. I think we've was a little bit cautious even in the game against Chelsea, if I'll be honest. A little bit of in my thinking as well, because I think that they look very, very dangerous on the counter-attack, Chelsea. And it sort of made me think, like, when it went 1-1. I actually thought when we went 1-0 up, I thought we was going to win it 1-0, 2-0. I didn't think they was going to score. Once they equalised, I thought, oh, no, they're going to nick it, aren't they? They're going to nick it. So I was a little bit cautious myself. So I can understand that. That's because of form, Dan. That's because we're not playing at our very, very best. I think what we've got to do now is, I don't think it's a bad thing that this international break has come at the right time for us now. Yes, the players have got to go on international duty, but they can go and play without the pressures of what, comes with being in the Premier League. Martin Odegaard understands being called up. Maybe if Norway use him properly, it'd be a benefit for us that he gets some minutes under his belt without the pressure of what that. But in saying that, it was incredible that he got through 90 minutes. But I think there's a lot of adrenaline goes through that. It's the next 2 or 3 games. So I think a little 2-week break in Norway isn't a bad thing for him, to be honest. A couple of other players get. Declan Rice will not go. You know what I mean? Like, it's obvious that he had a slider on at the end. He was limping. I think the injection has worn off and he's in a lot of pain. So he'll have a week or two's rest. It would be nice if Saka didn't go, but if he's fit, he's fit. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do about it. Like, you know, if he's just a bang, you know, he's just got to be looked after properly by England, which I do suspect that England would look after their players a little bit better than some other teams. So I think it's now just, look, if we don't beat Nottingham Forest, then everybody can lose their crap, lose everything, right? Because that is the game now that they've got to win. It's as simple as that. And I think that they've got to go on. I said it. If Arsenal are going to win the title, which is going to be very, very difficult from here, they've got to win their next 10 games, as you said, up until that Brighton game. I think, no, after that, Spurs, isn't it, like at home. So I'm putting that in there. So that's 9 games, 10 games. We win all of them. And see where we are. If we're still 9 points behind after putting up 30 points, then, you know, you have to concede that it's over. Like, you know, it's going to... Are we going to win 10 games, Dan? I think it's hard. I don't think we will. The way we are on the form that we're in at the moment. But I said that after Fulham. If you'd have said to me, you know, you're going to lose 1 game to the end of the season, draw at Man City and lose 1 game, I would have said, nah, don't be stupid. Like, you know what I mean? That ain't happening. I had an argument with a couple of, you know, like, funny enough, Ty and Julian, the most 2 deluded Arsenal supporters that those going, we can go on a run here. And you know, like towards the end, they kept coming up to me and saying, like, "Oh, we're on a run here. You didn't believe us, did you?" So I get that. So we've got to do that. Like, you know, if we don't do that, then that's it. You know what I mean? We've left ourselves with no room to make mistakes. We've actually been in positions where we've had room to make mistakes and made mistakes. So it may be a good thing. Like, you know, all of a sudden there, you know, like, you know, you can't afford to make a mistake. You've got to perform. Got to beat Nottingham Forest. And then, you know, if we can get 2 or 3 goals in that game, which is going to be difficult, but if we do, give the team a little bit of confidence. I look back at things this season, Dan, and I just think to myself, mistakes have been made by Arteta all round. Even go back to the Europa League game when we got the penalty and he's letting Trossard take it instead of Havertz. You know what I mean? I just think, you know, you got your main man. You know, there's a lot of criticism for him for not scoring goals. There's a chance for him to score a goal. He's a very, very good penalty taker. He should be having that, not Trossard. But listen, I thought there was some encouraging things yesterday. But I thought Trossard, when he came on after Martinelli, was very, very positive in what he'd done. That's his best performance for a long while. I felt that Thomas Partey has been a very, very good player for us. Declan Rice is only playing half fit. Let's get him fit, and Odegaard. If we can get them 2 back to how they were last season, I think that it will make Arsenal a better side. I really do, like, you know. And I do think that, you know, I've seen a lot of people criticising Odegaard's performance yesterday, and you know, come on, really. He hasn't played for 6 weeks, Chelsea away, and produces a performance like, I'm not saying it was spellbinding, but he worked rate, he lasted the game, created a goal.
Yeah, the same people that said we're better without him, Lee. So I wouldn't.
You know what I mean? I
don't understand that. I thought he was okay in the first half. In the second half, I thought he was great. I don't know how people can't see that personally.
Well, like, you know what I mean? And it's moments, isn't it?
Opinion, but
yeah, like, listen, people have got their opinions, and that's fine. But I look at that and I think to myself, like, come on, you know, we've all had injuries and played. You know, I had a. I know, like, I mean, I'm a lot older now, but I had an injury, and then the first time you go back into training and first time you play a game, it's just bloody hard work. He made it look easy. 6 weeks out, and to do that, I think he's incredible.
He's a phenomenal talent. I got time for him. I had my doubts when he first come, thinking, does this guy actually score or assist? And he put me in the mud with it because he's been phenomenal. But actually, to lead a game of football and drive forward and press, I think that's what we've missed. And I think he proved that yesterday. And most of the chances that were created either come through him or he was involved in. But Mark rightly says this will be a new record if we do win the league. It's never been done before. No one's ever come from 9 points behind after 11 games in Premier League history, which doesn't set the bar very high there, Tom. Doesn't make us look too good. Everyone keeps shouting this, though, Tom. Dubai trip 2, and a lot of people keeps praying that that's what's going to happen, which is worrying really when we're in November and everyone wants us to go to Dubai.
Well,
but do you think there might be? No, it isn't happening. But
because there's no winter break this year.
There isn't an option, really, is there? There isn't a time for us. I wanted to mention Thomas Partey because Lee did, Tom, and I thought he was good yesterday. Well, actually, I thought he was really good. He has a couple of passes that went astray, but to be fair, most of what he did was great. I thought he was by far our best player and certainly one of the best players on the pitch. I thought him and Caicedo really shot in midfield, and I thought there was going to be a kind of midfield battle. But my problem at the moment is our midfield, Tom. I actually think that's been the worst part of our team throughout the whole of this season. And obviously, Odegaard missing has been a key factor with that. I don't like Declan Rice in at 8. In fact, I don't know what he's trying to offer us there at all, if I'm honest. I think he's been pretty, not poor this season because he's a top player, but I think he's been pretty ineffective so far this season. I actually agree with Lee. I don't think he's fit, to be honest, either. I think he's absolutely knackered. No, he wasn't fit for this game, but I just mean in general. I think like he's just needs a rest. I think he's played the most minutes than anyone for club and country, right? So this guy clearly needs a bit of a break, and I think he'll get that now. But our midfield, mate, like when everyone's fit, is it Partey, Rice, Odegaard still? Do we think we can do something more in there to get that going? Or do we just need to allow that to actually happen because we haven't seen it enough yet? And just your thoughts on Thomas Partey's performances?
Yeah, I mean, Partey, I think, has been our best midfielder this season. I don't think that's too much up for debate. I think, across all of the games, he started a bit slow, and Rice was better in the opening games, but he's without a doubt overtaken him in that period of time. And I think that comes from the fact that he's playing in the comfortable position of the two, which is the 6. I've always said, like with you, Dan, that I think I foresee Rice being our anchor, being our Rodri. That's what I want him to be, because I think that's where he flourishes the most. Gives you the most energy, gives you the most turnovers, the best protection for the back four. I think that's Rice's best role. At the start of last season, he was winning man of the match awards hand over fist playing in that position. So, it's frustrating that that's not been the way. I think obviously there's been this desire for Merino to be, the left-sided 8. But unfortunately, he started the season with an injury and he's still getting up to speed. And I don't think he will get up to speed for quite some time, because if you miss pre-season and miss the start of the season because of an injury, you're rarely ever going to be able to catch up to the players around you. That said, I thought the end of the game yesterday, I thought Merino showed some really encouraging signs. I thought he was progressive in his passing, like he was calm in his passing, and he played some good balls out to Timber on the left-hand side that got us attacking down the left. So I think that's encouraging. But ultimately, Partey, it's difficult to say, let's start Rice in 6, because Partey has been better than Rice so far this season. So you have to kind of make a call in some ways. You play Rice in, or let's wait and see what's happened with his injury, because if it turns out he's got to now take a little period of time away from the game because of this toe situation, then maybe it's that Partey plays with Merino, in the midfield. So that's something. I question why Jorginho hasn't been used more at the moment. I don't really understand why we've not seen more of Jorginho, because as a midfielder, he offers you more creation, he offers you forward passing, and I'm struggling as to why Jorginho's not been used more in games. I thought he was good at Preston, and we've not really seen him anything outside of that game, to be honest, which I think is a little bit of a shame and a little bit questionable, but maybe there's things going on fitness-wise we don't, again, know about. There seems to be so many fitness issues. Just in the wider context as well, in terms of what Lee was saying about the title race and where we're at, we have had a very difficult start to the season, both with fixtures, with injuries, with red cards, with controversies, whatever. And yet, if Arsenal do manage to drop less than 6 points between now and the end of the year, they'll be in a better position than they were the season before, believe it or not. And with the games that we've got coming up between now and the end of the year, if you were talking about Arsenal this time last year, you would have banking on one of them all. The problem is now that we can't win a game at the moment. And so we need to see that change. It's going to be about momentum. Liverpool, you look at their fixture list, what they've had. They're now into this challenging period of games and they're winning them. They drew against us, of course. But they had such a kind start to the season. They've been able to build up this momentum, build up this force behind them. So they're going into this challenging run with all that weight behind them and cruising through it to a degree. Whereas Arsenal, we are constantly seeing all of these challenges come up. The start to the season that we had was obviously very tough. The end of the Man City game was torturing. The Liverpool game in itself had its issues, and we definitely deserved to win that game. We've had obviously our own issues in other games that we probably should have got more points in because of red cards and whatever else. But we're now in a position where we need to stop really talking about Liverpool and stop talking about Man City, because we just need to focus on ourselves and get the job done in our games.
Yeah, at the moment it's about winning one game, Lee, let alone winning the next 10, I think. Yeah. I mean, it'd be great to get us to that. But I think, if we can get ourselves in a position where we're, and I know I'm jumping ahead months-wise here, but if we're within 5 points of whoever's top in March, I still think that we've got a great chance of winning the league. But at the moment, the way we're playing is more important to me than how many points we're behind so-and-so and so-and-so. Because let's be real, I don't know about you guys, but the talent the talent is not great on show at the moment in the Premier League. The competitiveness is brilliant to watch, and it's popcorn moments and entertaining for the neutral. But I don't look at any of these teams and go, "God, blimey, I want to play them." They look scintillating. Now, have you looked at Liverpool this season once and gone, "I ain't beating them. They are incredible." Nah, we ain't. And when we were flying ahead, everyone was going, "Oh, I don't fancy playing Arsenal. They're looking absolutely brilliant." Now, Liverpool, by the way, are getting the job done. It doesn't mean they're not going to win the league because they're not scintillating, right? They can go and win the league quite clearly. They can, right? And they've got people that have done it before. But I just think, judges, that if there was a season to be a bit funny, it might be this one. Like I've seen Manchester City lose to Brighton and Bournemouth, and I've seen Arsenal drop points at Brighton and Bournemouth, and nobody would have said that. Like, let's be real, nobody would have said. I don't know anybody, Judge, that went, yeah, I think Brighton and Bournemouth this season are two teams that will definitely take points off Arsenal and Man City. So what my point is if it is going to be a crazy one, maybe it is this one, or maybe I'm being hoping.
No, listen, I think you made a great point, and I think that there's a massive meltdown with the Arsenal fans at this moment, and sack Arteta, do everything there, and I can get it with the frustration because I actually Saturday night when Man City were losing with a minute to go, I didn't know how I felt. Part of me was thinking it's great, but another part going, well, why couldn't it have been last year that they'd done this? Why is it now when, why, do you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just, now we're not quite as good as what we were this season. This is happening, I get that's why people are thinking about this. You know what I mean? If we'd have had the start we had to last season, as Tom alludes, we wouldn't be that much further up the field than what we are now. It's Liverpool have done fantastically well, and have been incredible. If I'll be honest, I felt that that listen, I'm not saying that they're fortunate to come to Arsenal. It's how it is, but like I like to go to Anfield when we play them without Konate and Van Dijk and Trent not in their back four. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind going there along with and then Salah up front not playing. That'd be nice. That would be nice. And a half fit Diaz or someone like that who's playing his first game. They were fortunate coming up against the Arsenal when we had the injuries that we did. I'm not going to bring in Saliba because Saliba was suspended. That can happen. But it would be nice. I'd feel a lot more confident going to Anfield if they've got 5 of their top players out. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. In football, you have to have a little bit of luck as well. Injuries take that into consideration as well. I think also, Dan, a lot of people didn't realise last season that we was very, very fortunate that after every game in Europe, we had a home game next. We ain't got home game now. We haven't got home game. Everyone, we have got, out of all our European joints, or jaunts, should I say, we've got one game at home, right? The rest have all been away. So we've gone to Inter Milan, we've gone away to Chelsea. I think we went away to Tottenham when we played at Atlanta. We've now got, with the one time we're at home, we go away when we've got West Ham, and we go at home, and it's Man City at home. You know what I mean? So it's a nice little thing. But listen, that was a lot of luck for us last season, Dan. A lot of I don't think people appreciated how fortunate it was, and we didn't really capitalise on it, or we did, but Manchester City capitalised on it as well. So I think that you have to have a little bit of ride your luck a little bit, but no one's running away with it at this moment in time, apart from Liverpool. If Liverpool had lost a couple more games, we'd all be going like, oh, it ain't too bad and whatever. We could have ended up. I know this sounds bad, but we could have actually have ended up in 9th place on Sunday if all the results would have gone the other way. Unbelievable, we've ended up in 4th by getting a point. So I don't think it's. Listen, I get we can be doom and gloom in a minute, and I'm in that camp, that it really now does go on to these next 10 games, and I'm at a stage, Dan, where I'm not in this camp. I don't know. I know that you are, and I don't know how Tom is and all that. If you don't win a trophy, he's got to be sacked. But I expect us to be challenging at the end of the season for the title. If we're not challenging and we've not put in a challenge, then I think there's a question. But, you know,
that'll come in May. That'll come in May. Unless we're like 7th by Christmas, he's not going to go anywhere, is he? So for me, that's a question in May. I think it's a genuine conversation. If we win nothing and don't challenge, that is a genuine conversation. Like, we've regressed. What are we doing here? What's going on? Is there someone else that can get us across the line or us out there? If the answer is we sack Arteta and we bring in De Zerbi, then let's not bother. Let's just get a kickstick with Arteta. But if there's a Carlo Ancelotti or a Simone Inzaghi or someone that says, I've got a winning mentality, I've got a CV that believes you can get this team across the line, then that's a genuine conversation. But I'm willing to wait until May, until we see what he's done, because he might still win us a trophy. If he wins us a trophy, I'm cool. Like, really, it's that simple for me. Like, if he wins us a trophy, it's all good, because that's what it's about. I just think that what are we waiting for here?
We've had 10th in an FA Cup.
Say again, mate?
You take 10th in an FA Cup.
No, he's got to challenge and win a trophy. I've said that's my minimum expectation.
Okay.
He's got to challenge and for me, like Lee said, he's got to challenge for the title. That's what we're about, right? And that's what this process, I believe, was supposed to be. Unless I don't know. Actually, if I'm honest with you, I don't actually know what this process is supposed to be. But that's what I believe the process should be, which is to try and win the big boy trophies. That's what I think it should be. Now, I class the FA Cup as big boy trophy. It's a trophy that we call our trophy, so I love it. Carabao Cup, I would 100% take. Some people don't want that. Some people think it's crap and it's a waste of time, and it's like a Johnson's Papa John's trophy, whatever they call it. But for me, I would take it, right? But he needs to win something, man. He needs to win something now. And that's what I think. And challenge at the very, very bare minimum this season. That's what I think. But I don't know. You boys might think differently. You boys might think he just needs to crack on and he's done enough. He's got credit in the bank to come fourth this year. I don't know. I don't know where people are at. Everyone's very different, you know. But I'll ask you that, because we need to come to a close, because I've got another show in 5 minutes. But what do you both think? What do you both think of that?
No, I don't. Listen, I think it all comes with context. I think, like, you know, I think we've got to challenge. I know you might think I'm silly if we come fourth and win the Carabao Cup, for instance. I'd rather be and not challenge for the league. I'd rather challenge for the league. I'd rather be right up there to the last game. I'd rather have what we had last season and have what Man United had last season. And that was with the FA Cup, I know. But I'd rather go week in, week out, thinking that my team's going to win games of football. Now, that hasn't happened in the last few weeks. That's the first time for a very, very long while I've gone to Chelsea and thinking that we're not going to win a game of football, and Inter Milan, to be fair. So that's got to change. Got to change. I want us back into winning ways and challenging for the title. And if we come, I think that if we really do, I don't think that we're going to kick on this season. And I think then next season he's got to buy a striker and revamp the squad. That's going to cost a lot of money. I don't know if that can be done. Tom knows that probably more than me. But I think that at the end of it, I'm what's the word when I'm sitting happily on the fence at this moment.
You're indifferent. You're indifferent.
Yeah, I'm with splinters.
What about you, Tom? What are you saying? Splinters. What are you saying, Tom? This season? It's a weird question to ask in November, but
that's what I'm saying. You said it yourself. You know, we see in May. Like, I don't have a clue what's going to happen between now and the end of the season. I don't know whether, but the context right now is if the season finished today, you know, and just take the cups out of it from a league perspective. If it's finished today, we'd be incredibly disappointed. We'd be like, why don't we finish beyond Chelsea? Like, you know, why has that happened? I mean, you could point to their own progress or whatever, but yeah, you'd be gutted at that. So I think that there's a lot of question marks about, you know, this run we've got coming up to the end of the year. As I pointed out with those points tallies, you know, it could look very different, but it also, like, we just need to win our next game. Like, just win the next game. Because if we don't win the next game, then yeah, it is going to start getting into that very dark period for Arsenal fans. You're home to Nottingham Forest, so I know I've had a good season, you know, so far. But, you know, Newcastle showed up and showed them what a quality is, you know, and put goals past them and made them look pretty ordinary in the end. So we should be doing that at the Emirates pretty comfortably. Also, after this 2 weeks, I'm hoping Calafiori is going to be back. I'm hoping Ødegaard's going to be fit and firing, even though he's gone to Norway. I know, which is frustrating. But there is an argument, to be fair, that when players come back from injury, that a 2-week break isn't always the best thing. So maybe some minutes of Norway might do him a couple of favours and come back for us. So that's something to be kind of more optimistic about in that sense. Hopefully Declan Rice and Saka are all right, you know, and can come back. And hopefully any of these other issues, Ben White's not going to be playing, of course, so he can get a rest. Martinelli's not going to be going. Jesus ain't going to be going. And, you know, we haven't really talked about Nwaneri today, but I think, like, Jesus'
Martinelli
performance.
not going to Brazil.
Gabriel's going, but Martinelli and Jesus aren't going. To my knowledge, I don't think so. I don't think Martinelli was called up. I'm pretty sure he wasn't. I think they called up Luis Enrique instead. I thought Jesus' substitute performance was disgraceful yesterday. I really did. I was so unimpressed, uninspired. You got a player here who's won how many league titles, and that's why we brought him in. We brought him in because of his experience, because of his quality in the Premier League. You're fighting for your place. You're fighting to get back in the Brazil side as well. You come off the bench in this big game, got a chance to make a name for yourself. You pass the ball inside and stand there. Like, it's the minimum expectation of a footballer. Pass, move, pass, move, pass, move. Pass the ball, waltz around the pitch. It was like Sterling against Shakhtar Donetsk when he came off the bench. It was disgusting, those performances. And I hope Arteta's given him a shake. We need to be in a better position, but we can only take one step at a time. I'm not going to fall into the trap of looking like an absolute fool, like some people are, and going losing their heads. I can argue those people off the planet pretty comfortably. But when it comes to where we are right now, Arsenal, we've had some incredible things happen to us this season. I'm just hoping that we can start turning it around.
Let's just close on this statement because, Tom, you said that we could drop 6 points from now until the end of the year and still be better than we were last year. Is that right? So we've got Forest in that time. I'm going to take away the Champions League and Cup games here. We've got Forest, West Ham, Man United, which will be tough because it's Ruben Amorim coming in. We say it will be tough. We believe it'll improve on what they've got now. Fulham, Everton, Palace. Ipswich and Brentford. Now, there's none of them teams there that I go, oh, God, no chance. I fancy our chances against all of them. If we were to do that, we would then be 6 points better off than what we were last season.
No. If we drop less than 6 points between now and the new year, we will be in a better. We would have dropped fewer points this season.
Sorry. So I misheard what you said. Okay, cool. So we'd be better off from last year's points tally if we were to go right. Okay, cool. Well, look, that fills me with a bit. I'm going to be doing maths now after every game.
We're all mathematicians now. We're all working it out.
And I'm awful with my numbers, man. So bad. So I'm like, oh dear. Anyway, listen. Big up to both of you, man, and really appreciate it. First of all, Tom, thank you for coming on, mate. Gonna Talk TV, people, every morning, 8 a.m. Listen to Tom. He'll be giving you all the transfer news, all the Arsenal news, and transfer news will be coming up again, mate. It won't be long before that window happens. And we didn't even get time to talk about January, but I'm sure that we will next time. And big up to everybody in the chat, man. Big up to all of your interactive comments. Well done for winding Tom up, or trying to at least. Big up to you. And Tom does enjoy it, really. He does. And judges, I'll let you see us out and say goodbye, mate.
Just one thing. I'm gonna leave on a bit of a serious thing here. Like, I just see on the chat there, someone saying if Odegaard gets injured, then Arteta should be sacked. There's nothing he can do about it, guys. It's not his call. If they call him up, he can't do nothing about it. It's not his fault. They have to go. It's as simple as that. If England force Saka and they don't have to force them, but if they do, they say to them, "Look, you've got to turn up." They have to turn up. So we've got to get into a little bit of perspective here, boys. It's not everything that we can do there, So it's happened, and then you have to get on with it. But listen, enjoy the next few days. Look forward to the weekend. No Arsenal, so no problems. Have a good one.